There is a bill at the desk. The Chief Clerk will report the bill.
House File Number 1837, number 2 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to state government, the first engrossment.
There are no amendments at the desk. The Chief Clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 1837.
Third reading. I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Cleavorn.
Thank you very much. And the policy bill, I doubt that we'll have as much debate on. I would say that this bill contains a lot of really good policy, many provisions from both sides of the aisle. All right, I just want to make sure everything's okay. All right. So in this bill, you will find sections of Representative Davis's House File 2. You will find House File 23 from Kristen Robbins that was adopted on the floor of this House. Representative Quam's House File 289. Representative Nash has a couple of, Chair Nash, excuse me, has a couple of provisions in the bill. Representative Davis, you have a report change in here as well. Representative Myers, you have 2 provisions in this bill. Representative Anderson, you have a provision in this bill. And we have many agency provisions. On the DFL side of the bill, we have one really important provision by Representative Howard. And I would just ask for your green vote. It's a great bill, and it does a lot of really good work for our state. Thank you.
I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I do want to thank both chairs, Chair Cleavorn and Chair Nash, for including these 2 small provisions, but they're going to have a big impact. And it's going to be a big impact for students and astronomy lovers in my district and across the state. Give a little bit of a shout out to some students at West Tonka and Wayzata that actually reached out to me about these 2 provisions. Both of them were bipartisan. One was designating Ursa Minor, which contains the North Star, as the state constellation. And the other one was now Minnesota will be the 47th state to have a state fossil, which will be Castoroideus, AKA the giant beaver. For that, I want to say thank you to the Science Museum for the help with that, as well as Minnesota Indian Affairs Council for their work and support. Again, thank you both chairs for your work, and vote green.
I recognize the member from Pope, Representative Anderson, PH.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker and members. I too want to say thanks to the 2 chairs of the committee, Representative Nash and Representative Cleavorn. A very well-run committee. You worked together very well, and a lot of interesting things. And I was amazed by the scope of operation and the areas that this committee touches in terms of state funding, legislature, department heads. It's a big committee, and they did a very good job in getting their work done. If I could just take a second to comment on one small piece I had in the bill, and goes back to back home in some of our small towns. You probably all go to Lenten fish fries like we do too, and it was at the small town in Swift County, and it's a municipal liquor store, kind of the gathering place for the town, and it was packed that night. The firemen had the fish fry, and got talking to some of the officials in town. And they said that they had kind of a problem. Their municipal liquor store, the only store in town really, but it didn't really show much of a profit. And part of the reason for that was that the high expense of having their city audited because of that liquor store. And did some checking and found that the threshold for having a CPA audit, full audit of your liquor store, was set back in the 1990s at $350,000, and with inflation, that's way underfunded as of today. So we got that threshold raised, which should help a lot of our smaller, greater Minnesota municipals stay in business and operation and be that focal point of town for some of these places that have that going for them. So thank you, both chairs.
I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This was my first time on the State Government Committee, and I want to thank Co-Chair Nash and Co-Chair Cleavorn. One thing that I've observed in previous state gov bill debates is it can feel at times a little dry. Not this one, not today, but when we talk about institutions, it can sometimes feel a little removed from the people. But the reality is, we believe that our government can and should be a positive force in the lives of Minnesotans, and that we can and should strive to make it better, more responsive. That's what the previous bill does, and I believe that's what this bill does. And I wanted to mention a small provision in this bill that came from a constituent of mine, a state worker who was recently retired and has ALS. In planning for his health care, looking forward with his wife, he sort of discovered a quirk. If he were to spend down his health care resources, need to go on Medicaid, his wife would lose her health insurance. If he were to pass away, she could keep her state-based health insurance. This was this catch-22. We worked together to close this loophole to make sure that both he and his wife will have the peace of mind that they'll have the health care that they need, and this will be afforded to all of our state workers going forward. And it's just a small example of how I think that this body can and should work and be responsive to the people. And it can be easy to lose sight sometimes when we're talking about the institutions of government, that we are a government of the people and for the people. And that's what the bill before this one does, and that's what this policy bill does as well, and I'm proud to vote yes.
I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Bonner.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to all of our team. And if we were going to call the state government bill by a song title, I think we should probably channel John Travolta and call it Staying Alive, keeping the lights on and keeping the government running. And I would say that what we need to keep in mind is that state government is first and foremost about serving people, right? It's about making government that works for real people. And in this bill, I just want to say thank you to our incredible chairs who led with humility and efficiency, and who worked really hard every day to make sure that we met the mission, right? That we serve the soul of the people in the work that we do. And while the state government budget is not exactly what we would call sexy, it was a tough budget. Let's be upfront, right? With a 67 and budgets looming, I think we did a really great job of working together to find a path forward and do great things. Between the policy bill and the finance bill, I happen to think we do some really great things, like funding IT and cybersecurity, and I know Chair Nash agrees with me on that one. I find that pretty exciting. We do things like funding the AG and making sure that the people's lawyer can do the work of the people, to bring back those dollars when we've been cheated, to take care of our consumers. For the Secretary of State, to make sure our businesses can file and that they can run their businesses efficiently in the state of Minnesota. Pretty important work. I know I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family. The auditor, the ultimate bean counter. And if you've ever met Auditor Blaha, you know how excited she gets about auditing. So pretty good stuff. And including the OLA, who we also gave some new privileges in the state government bills to make sure that they have the ability to do their job, to audit efficiently, and to go after various types of fraud. We managed to fund all of the agencies and make sure we keep the lights on. And just for fun, in our budget or in our policy bill this year, we had provisions from Chair Cleavorn and Chair Nash, Vice Chair Davis, Representative Robbins, Anderson, Quam, Howard, and Myers, a very bipartisan, very efficient bill that we got across the line. And it did a couple of really important things, and I won't go into them all because I don't think anybody wants to take a nice snooze today. But there are a few fun things in the bill, or at least I think they are. For example, we had the ability to have the giant beaver as our state fossil. And I also want to say a shout out to Representative Cagle, who I know carried this bill for many years with a great amount of passion and was excited about that. And of course, thank you for getting that across the line, Representative Myers. As well as Ursa Minor, the home of the North Star, or as we like to call it around here, l'Étoile du Nord. You'll see it throughout the building, which is pretty exciting. On top of that, we did some really fundamentally important things in this bill, and I'll highlight two. One is the one that Chair Howard just referred to. I think understanding that the wife of someone who has served in our government should be able to keep their health insurance. I think that's pretty gosh darn important. And while state government may not be the most exciting bill, that's pretty exciting for those folks who are impacted. And lastly, I will say we've had a lot of conversations this year about how we address things like fraud. In the bill, we have a bill specifically targeting that, where we have in some of the anti-fraud sections of the bill, where we do things like data sharing to make sure that we can get out suspected, when there is suspected or confirmed fraud in public programs. I think we actually do find that exciting, because when money doesn't go where it needs to go, that means that our citizens don't get the care and the services that they need. And I know that we all agree on that. We're able to withhold payments from programs when it's determined there's a credible allegation of fraud or they're under investigations. It requires agencies required to notify the program within 5 days and the reason for the withholding. It specifies the circumstances under which payments may be reinstated and gives recipients the right to submit evidence, as well as setting forth temporary actions that are not subject to appeal. I think we all appreciate in this room the ability to make sure that the funds that are sent to this state by our taxpayers go exactly where they need to go, and that we can help the most people in the most efficient manner. And for all of those reasons, while this is not the sexiest bill alive, I would urge us to go out on a chorus of staying alive, keeping the lights on, and serving the people of Minnesota. Please vote green.
I recognize the member from Crow Wing, Representative Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, thank you, Chair Nash. Thank you, Chair Cleavorn, Vice Chair Bonner. Thank you, members of the committees, our staff, partisan staff, nonpartisan staff. Again, I just want to give you a shout out. Very grateful for all the hard work you guys do. One of them's not paying attention to me right now, but that's okay. So I'm very grateful that House File 2 got included in this bill. House File, or portions of House File 2, I should say. You know, we've had, I don't know, somewhere between $500 million and $1 billion in fraud of taxpayer dollars in the last few years in our state. And right now in state statute, it's worded that state agencies or state employees are encouraged to report fraud. And with this bill, we're changing that language to must promptly report fraud. So we're mandating that if you see fraud going on in the state agency, you have to report it. That's a good thing. And then House File 23, Representative Robbins, shout out to you. It brings protection for public employees that allows them to report such things going on. It adds protections to them. So I'm very grateful for that. Again, it's been a privilege to work under the chairs and to be a part of the committee. We've had some robust debate, and very thankful for the opportunity. I will be supporting this bill. Thank you, members.
I recognize the member from Ramsey, Representative Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, I just want to note that included in this state government policy bill, thank you, Chair Nash, thank you, Chair Cleavorn, are the provisions of the governor's anti-fraud bill. I was proud to carry that bill. The provisions relating to state government are in the bill. They include provisions that would allow government entities to disclose data relating to suspected or confirmed fraud in public programs to any other government entity. We have very complicated data sharing laws, as I think folks are aware, and so one would certainly hope that that would have been something that would have been allowed previously, but in fact that was a loophole that was not something that was allowed and now will as this bill goes through, and also allowing agencies to withhold payments to program participants if there's a credible allegation of fraud and the program participant is a subject of the investigation, and other provisions as well. We can be really proud of the work, members, that we undertook in 23-24 to take action against fraud. We can be proud of movements that we're doing to prevent consumer fraud and fraud on businesses, and certainly fraud in our public programs as well, all contained within this bill. And so to urge members' support of the bill and to recognize the work that we appreciate the governor bringing these provisions forward and appreciate having them move forward through this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Carver, Representative Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is another bill that has a lot of provisions that a lot of our members brought to us, and you know, I think when you recognize the Representative Myers bills that are in here that he brought as a result of talking to school kids, I think Representative Howard, your bill also was a result of talking to school kids. I think that's a really good aspect of what it is that we do down here, that you listen to the people in your district and then you try to do something. And let's make it clear, this is not as hot and contested as the last bill. So, but we do some good things in here. And I think Chair Cleavorn, you and I put this bill together in maybe 45 minutes, where we sat down and we looked at the policy-only provisions that were in our possession, and we recognized that we could do good things for both the committee members and the people who brought bills to us, recognizing that there were things that we should just respond to our constituents and their constituents, our colleagues' constituents, to do. Members, I think that this does a lot of nice things. We have Representative Davis, House File 2, in here. Representative Robbins, she's somewhere else, but some of her stuff in here. We've eliminated some boards that no longer really are necessary. We got rid of that, and we've generally cleaned up some statute there. But in the end, once again, I just think that this was a far easier bill, and we did it together quite well. So, members, I think that this is a green vote for all of us, because it really does have very benign policy in there that should be recognized as being something that is good for the state of Minnesota. Thank you.
Any further discussion to the bill? I recognize the author of the bill, the representative from Hennepin, Representative Cleavorn.
Thank you, and I've teased Co-Chair Nash about this before. I would never say that this bill is benign. It does really important work for the state of Minnesota, or it directs good work for the state of Minnesota. Also in here is a good cleanup provision for the Minnesota personnel statute. So there's really a lot of work in here. While we say it's quick work, it was very thoughtful work, and it was brought to us in a good form so that we could review it and move it out pretty quickly. And I'd like to thank the members of the public who work in state government who gave us their opinions on various provisions in this bill so that we are able also to carry their voices forward in this work. Members, it's a really good bill. It's an important bill. I ask for your green vote, and I would like to just thank all of you for your hard and robust conversation today. Please vote green.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Members, please vote. The clerk will call the names of the members voting remotely.
Green.
Yes.
Green votes aye. Hussein.
Say one more time.
Hussein, aye.
Hussein votes aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 131 yeas and 1 nay, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.